Coming to you live from Columbus, Ohio. It's Motown Downtown.
Motown Downtown. Come on down to Motown Downtown.
Today's guest, Aplfisher.
Come on down to Motown Downtown.
My name is Tyson Bruno, and here's your host, Mo Chocolate.
Come on down to Motown Downtown.
What is up, boys and girls? How's it going? This is Mo Chocolate, and welcome to another brand new episode of Motown Downtown. My name is Mo Chocolate, and I'm here to make sure that you have a wonderful time at the greatest time. Ladies and gentlemen, drum roll please. It is my distinct honor to welcome this legendary guest to the show. It has been Dream Brothers all day. You've seen him on Twitch. You've seen him on Twitter. You've seen him on Machinima. You've seen him on YouTube. One of the funniest streamers on the internet right now with the funniest bike story ever. Ladies and gentlemen of the internet, put your hands together for the one, the only, Aplfisher! What is up? What is up, Mr. Fisher? How's it going, buddy?
Dude, it is going great. Mo, you need an app. You need one of those gas up apps where like you're like a positive dude. It's wow, what an
so
intro.
Excited to have you on here. And before we get started, we actually are in a hype train right now. To the person that just donated 20 subs. Oh my god, thank you. Thank you so very much. Saba Bunny, love you to death, my friend. Thank you very much. Thank you. But yes, Mr. Aplfisher, first of all, thank you so very much for being here on the show. Thank you very much. Round of applause for Aplfisher. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for having me. The second you asked me, I saw that this was going to be a thing. I was hoping to be asked, and I'm super glad to be here.
Of course, had to have you on here. So for the two people in here, oh my God, stop it! Phone calls for the two people in here that doesn't know who you are. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience.
Sure. So I'm Scott, or Aplfisher. I've been doing internet content, or APL as I go by as well. I've been doing content on the internet since, 2010, 2009, 2010. And yeah, you may have seen a funny bike story, as you mentioned. That's probably the thing I'm most known for. But I also was on Machinima Respawn. I did a show called Inbox. Yeah, and then I've been full-time streaming this is my 7th year, so going to be 8 years next year.
Nice. Full-time streamer, awesome, man. So, since you're a gamer, tell us what got you into video games.
Oh man, dude, I've been interested in video games my entire existence, basically from birth. So I grew up in a pretty strict conservative Christian household, so I actually really wasn't allowed to play many video games, or if I was, it was very locked down. I think my first game that I ever played or my first thing that I ever owned was the original Game Boy. No Game Boy Color, the original Game Boy.
Nice.
I think I had a Zelda game on there and a few others. I had some Christian video games that were not sanctioned by Nintendo. One of them was a game where you played as Joseph in the Bible. I don't even remember what they're called. I don't know if anybody remembers these. They were like black cartridges, and they looked super funky, and they were literally totally not sanctioned by Nintendo. I had a few of those. But I don't know. I think I was just always interested in gaming and media. And most of the time I would get my gaming kicks from going over friends' houses and playing their consoles. I never owned like an N64 or anything. My first console I ever got, this was literally the day the Dreamcast came out. I don't know what that launch date was. That was the day I went to Funko Land. That was when you went to the brick and mortars back in the day, or GameStop. So people still do, I guess, somewhat, but that's dying out because of digital. I went into Funko Land the day the Dreamcast launched, and I bought a Sega Genesis. That was my first console. My parents were like, "You're not getting that. That's way too expensive, but you can get a Sega Genesis." So that was my first. And on that, I had Sonic Pinball, Madden 93, 92. I don't know what it was.
Big names.
And that was it. Those were my two games I played for like a year, and then I slowly started building my library. But I was kind of really behind the curve. But yeah, Sega Genesis, man. First console.
Nice. So how about content creation? Like when was your very first YouTube video ever uploaded? Like what made you decide to start posting videos onto YouTube?
So my first YouTube video, I want to say it was probably end of 2009 or beginning of 2010. I had just gotten my first console. Actually, was a PC gamer pretty much my whole life, which I still am, but I didn't own a console. And around 2009, 2010, I ended up getting an Xbox 360, and I was watching a lot of YouTube at the time, and I was watching people play Call of Duty 4, and then when Modern Warfare 2 came out, which is one that very beloved Call of Duty. I started watching people do, gaming commentaries where they would do gameplay and then talk over it. And that was kind of the start of me going, oh, this is something like cool that I'd like to do. Like I like to talk and I like to play video games. So let's see if I could do something like that. So the first video I ever posted was a video with no commentary. It's called, I think Akimbo. It's basically I'm on sub base and I'm aggressively sniping and I'm playing. I'm known as an aggressive sniper, Mo. If anybody ever asks you, you can just tell them Aplfisher is an aggressive sniper. Yeah, that was my first video with no commentary. And I ended up sending it to Hutch, who is a content creator and kind of one of the OGs of doing Call of Duty content on YouTube and commentaries. And he actually ended up seeing it. I got very lucky. He ended up seeing the video and kind of boosted it. I think he liked it back in the day when YouTube looks so different now, but back in the day, it was, you were rating videos a certain amount of stars. You were, your feed was very important. So like if you liked a video, your feed, a bunch of people, if you had a big channel, would go look at it. But yeah, that was my first video. He ended up doing that, and I was kind of off to the races right off the bat. So I kind of got very lucky, and we ended up forming a friendship through that because
awesome.
I don't know, he liked my gameplay or whatever.
So, Mr. Aplfisher, what is the story behind that? Everyone has a unique story behind their online name. What is the story behind it? What the fuck does that mean? Tell us what that means, please.
I love you asking. Yes. So, Aplfisher, many people say Apple. They love to say Apple, which is fine.
True.
I don't have any problem with that. So, my original name, this all stems from I played Counter-Strike competitively for a lot of years. So, I used to go by Apollo, Apollo. And before that, it was Good Apollo, which is a reference to my favorite band of all time, Coheed and Cambria. Chat's some people may know, some people may not. It doesn't really matter. I was on a team where one day we were playing some games and we decided let's all change our names to 3 letters for fun, just for like a day. And so I ended up going with APL to abbreviate Apollo. And that's really it. And then, and then it just kind of stuck. I just ended up sticking with that because I liked that it was shorter. So yeah, that's it. Nothing too crazy.
Man, I was hoping for this epic tale or something. Like you went on a journey or something.
No, it wasn't really a journey. I think Apple's a cute nickname. You know what I mean? It's easy to say, so I don't mind when a lot of people just think it's Apple. Aplfisher.
Yeah, when I first saw you, I thought it was Apple or Aplfisher. I'm like, it's APL.
Yes,
Gotcha.
That is still legendary in my chat. You calling me Alpha because nobody calls me Alpha, and I still love you for calling me Aplfisher.
Anytime.
Hey, listen, I'll take it.
Because love you to death. Now, how did you get involved with? Now you were okay. So you got into the gaming, did YouTube. What is the story behind you and Machinima? How did you get involved with the fine people over at Machinima?
So Machinima actually was a result of kind of that first question you asked, how I got into content creation. So I started doing YouTube, and that started kind of taking off a little bit. And at the time, Machinima was doing something called the Partner Program. And because you used to not be able to monetize gaming videos on YouTube because of copyright. So the only way to be able to do that back in the day was to get picked up by a network, which Machinima was, and then they would give you a percentage of the ad revenue for whatever your video made. So I ended up getting picked up into that and did some videos for them. And then just through relationships and meeting people that were doing the same thing, a lot of those people ended up getting hired and moving out to Los Angeles. And at one point, a couple of my friends were working there who were kind of doing the same thing as me. And my friend Dunkus, or Matt at the time, was like, hey, dude, I just got hired on this new team. At Machinima, we're looking for people. Would you be interested in moving across quitting your job, moving across the country and working for Machinima? And I was like, for me, I always wanted to be working at like a place like that. And I was like, absolutely. So it was a little weird because I worked for a software company for quite a few years before that, which it was a good job. I had just gotten a raise and I had to go in and be like, guys, Really appreciate the opportunity. Glad to be moving up, but I need to go make way less money at something I want to do, which I think is important. It was great. So I ended up moving out there, and yeah, it was just so basically kind of through content creation and YouTube. That's how I ended up at Machinima.
Amazing, amazing. So
Yeah.
how did you come across Twitch? Like, how did you come across
Yeah.
Twitch and decide, okay, I'll start streaming on Twitch now? Tell us your origin story of Twitch streaming.
So Twitch streaming. So I was on here before it was Twitch. I was streaming on Justin TV, which is what this was originally before they focused on gaming content. And I was just, but really, I was streaming on. So when I moved to Machinima, I wasn't signed to be talent or anything like that originally. I was on the live team, and this was very early on when YouTube was trying to get into the live space. And let's just say it was a nightmare. So my first few streams I ever did were on YouTube, and some of those are still actually cataloged, hidden to be fair, but on my YouTube. But then I started doing a show called The YouTube Game, which I still do occasionally, where we try to we take a search term from the chat, and then we try to find crazy and low viewed videos on YouTube and kind of go on a journey. So I started doing that on Justin TV. And after Justin TV switched over to Twitch, I was like, oh, shoot, we can do stuff that's not just like show or vlog content. We can do gaming content. And then that was kind of the natural progression. And I was one of the early partners on Twitch. When they switched over, they offered me a partnership. So
wow.
Yeah, and I got so it worked out like that. I say kudos to everybody who is grinding for partnership, by the way, nowadays, or has partner or whatever. Yeah, dude, it is so kudos to all of you. It is so much harder to get partner than it was back in the day, just because it's so saturated. You know what I mean? And their requirements have continued to push up. So good luck.
So that's what I'm saying is, like, how different was Twitch back in those days? Like, was 75 average viewership a thing for partnership? Like, what were the requirements for Twitch partnership back in those days?
It's a good question. I'm sure there were like written down requirements, but but mostly back in the day, if you really wanted to be honest, back in the day, it was if you had a good rapport with the people that were in the partnership team. Like, I mean, sure, there were people that were like so big that of course they were going to get partnered, you know what I mean, that were super successful.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people, it was like, hey, you already make content on YouTube. And part of that was strategic because Twitch was just trying to get people to stream on the platform, right, and generate revenue. So it wasn't just like, hey, like, I'm doing you a favor. It was like, no, here, take a partnership so that we can take, half of your revenue or whatever it was at the time. So, yeah, but Twitch was so much less saturated. It was much smaller. Basically, if there was a game that you were competent at, or you offered, or like a category that you could go into, and there was a lot fewer categories than there are now. There definitely was no hot tub categories back in the day. I wish there was. But there was none of that, or whatever, beach volleyball. I don't know if that's category. As long as you had the equipment and like were able to stream at like a decent frame rate, and people were able to watch you without too much interruption, you kind of were able to kind of build an audience in there if you were remotely competent. So I think there was a lot of and YouTube was the same way. Like, if you were able to record gameplay in HD back in the day, you were immediately light years ahead of a lot of other people who were recording with their Dazzles, you know what I mean, in 240p, which again, no shame in that, but yeah, it was just a lot different, man. And so in a lot of ways, it was easier to kind of slowly rise to the top of different categories, or do stuff and have it be noticed, because there were fewer eyes overall on the platform, but also fewer competition. So yeah, and it was the Wild West, man. I mean, Twitch still, people call it the Wild West, but it's so different than it was now. So on the plus side, it was very easy to maybe get eyes on your channel, but revenue and the revenue streams, there were very limited revenue streams back in the day. And Twitch has really opened it up with bits and gifted subs and a lot of other ways to make money. Back in the day, it was like, here, you can get a sub, and that's, maybe PayPal donation, and that's it. So
wow, so there was no like average viewer thing or anything to be a partner?
I mean, there might have been, but for me, there wasn't. And for a lot of other people, there wasn't. It was just kind of like almost an invite only system where they said like, hey, we like your stuff. Would you like to be a partner with us? Kind of like, I don't know if there was like an official application process or anything. I don't remember.
So it was like invite only type of thing.
Yeah, initially.
Okay.
I'm sure you could ask if you knew somebody, but it was kind of like, yeah, we'll ask you if we want you to be. But there wasn't anything formal, at least when I was first starting.
Was music such a big issue back in those days too?
Music was, no, not really. Nobody cared. Like, they might have said like, don't play copyright music, but it was kind of like YouTube in the early days before YouTube had to go through their whole copyright paying stuff, and now everything's like auto No, it was a Wild West, dude. It was do whatever you want. Yeah, nobody
Okay.
really cared.
Okay,
Yeah.
well that's good to know.
Yeah.
So going back to Machinima, tell us some of your favorite memories working over at Machinima.
My favorite memories working at Machinima, man, I have a lot of them. I think the biggest thing I took away from Machinima was basically everybody that worked at Machinima, I'm for the most part still friends with, and they're all doing bigger and better stuff outside of Machinima. So I think the camaraderie and friendship and stuff that we did while there is the thing that I remember the most. But I love shooting the Respawn Inbox show with Sark. That's a great memory. Traveling to different events, getting able to do PAXs and stuff like that, which I had never done before. Fantastic. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like one of my favorite memories when it comes to Inbox is just some of the different guests that we've had. We had Orlando Jones on. We had Orlando Jones on one time, and he was the coolest dude ever. Super cool guy, down to earth. You would think, he's been in so many things. You would have thought I don't know. I just didn't know what to expect with like an actual like celebrity. He was awesome, down to do every bit that we did. Yeah, so I mean, but I think less than like specific moments or things, it's more that I take away. It was just such a fun place to work, and I was in my early, to mid 20s. I was in LA. It was like, people every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you're going out, hanging with people you work with. It was a real camaraderie there. I think that was the best thing I took away from it.
What are like some of your least favorite memories from working at Machinima?
Least favorite memories working at Machinima would definitely be the day that me and the whole Respawn team ended up getting let go. That was probably my least favorite, but also I expected it. Yeah, and then just the way that Machinima was run from the top. Machinima had so many, which people have talked about ad nauseum, but Machinima had so many problems with leadership. Like the leadership changed over many times, and they just couldn't. They squandered so many different opportunities where they, Machinima was at the forefront of a lot of the gaming and video space and making a ton of money, but they just were so poorly managed and didn't really listen to a lot of the people that were actually doing the content, and that ended up costing them. So yeah, least favorite memories are probably sitting in meetings being like, what are we doing here, or not even sitting in a meeting, having Sark come back from a meeting and be like, we're just so fucked. You would just be like, I just am talking and this is what they want, we got to do it, or like stuff like that. So
Okay.
But yeah, overall positive. Like overall, it was a great positive experience, and regardless of how it ended, like it really did help get my profile out there and get people to know me as well. And so it's helped a lot on my stream and stuff like that.
Good memories, yeah. So let's talk about the most famous thing you are known for, which some people are already talking about in the chat. Let's talk about the bike story, shall we?
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
the bike story. Y'all been talking about it. So
Let's talk about it. What do you want to talk about? What do you want to know?
Who came up with that story? For the origin of the bike story. How did that come about? Enlighten the internet, please.
Sure. I mean, so how did it come up? It was totally spontaneous. I was just doing a gameplay through of Mafia 2. It was my first time ever playing it. And somebody named Gnarls, who's still in my community, somebody named Gnarls had shared a donation about how he had gotten in this horrible bike accident, which was totally true, by the way. Somebody had hit him and messed his bike up, and he was in a lot of, physical pain. And he was just kind of sharing, like, I had a shit day. This happened to me. And I was like, oh, man, that's terrible. I'm sorry to hear about that. And so what happened was the chat decided that they would have fun with that. And they all started sharing their own experiences about how what a coincidence it was that, this bike story happened. And then they started taking on the characters of the story. Like one was a driver, one was a seagull flying over top. It was just basically chat spontaneity. And they just kept the story going and going and going and getting more and more ridiculous. So, yeah, it was just one of those kind of moments where chat was just consistently topping itself for a good, hour and a half.
So basically, your community is filled with comedians, basically.
Yeah,
I mean, they would people on Twitch. You guys watching right now. You guys are the funniest community on Twitch, bar none, hands down.
They're pretty funny. I'll give them credit. I'll give them credit. Most, they don't hit 100% of the time. I would say they hit maybe 60% of the time. Maybe back in the day it was 70. But yeah, no, They're very yeah. The memes were at a high level, and we still experience that. So yeah, I mean, really, it was a credit to the people that were in chat that day that really just kept it going and kept it funny for like again. It's hard to keep a bit going for an hour and have it continue to keep topping itself, but that was one of those special days. So yeah, that was really it. And then what's happened since then is that video has been ripped so many times. And what's so funny, and one of the things that my chat we always love to laugh about, is that original video is in a series that I do called the Stream Snack, which is like highlights of the stream over like the last month or whatever. And that original video, which still I think it has like 500,000 views, which is impressive, but the rips of that, people have just ripped the webcam and then kind of cut it down, and it ended up getting on Reddit and 4chan. We joke like every year it gets reposted to 4chan and Reddit like 5 or 6 times. But the rips of those videos are in compilations, have like millions of views more than the video that it was from originally, which is just the way it works.
Yeah, that's my next question is like, when did you discover just how viral this video? It was on Markiplier, it was on PewDiePie, like it blew up all over. That's actually how I met you before I met you. It was on Markiplier's Try Not to Laugh thing, and I'm like, that story is hilarious. And then lo and behold, here we are. It's just crazy how things work out. Yes. So when did you discover how big that video was getting?
I think initially, after I posted the snack, I think it was maybe not that long after, maybe a month or so after it got on. I think somebody had posted it on Reddit, and I started noticing that the view count on the video was getting pretty crazy inflated. And so then I was like, okay, this has like some legs. And I remember cutting that, and I remember cutting that stream snack and being like, man, this moment is super funny. Like, I hope it gets traction. But when it started doing it, I was really excited. And then as far as like it getting reposted and ripped and reposted, I think when somebody was like, hey, dude, you're the Contagious Laughter subreddit, which I'm not even a part of, but apparently that's a thing.
That's a thing?
It's called r/Contagious Laughter. And so that it started getting posted in there. And then, over the years, I feel like it's just gotten bigger. Like the Markiplier thing that you're talking about was only a few years ago. But it started getting into If You Laugh, You Lose compilations, which I think is what he was watching.
Yes.
And so I think that's why it's continued to just keep going. And man, it is, like I said, it's a yearly thing, which is great. It's I'm glad that there's a piece of, because for a while it was like I was known for Inbox, which is great. And I loved Inbox and doing that at Machinima. But this thing, it's crazy. If I even search my name on YouTube, if I start typing Aplfisher, it's Aplfisher bike story, like you said.
First thing, yeah.
That's the thing.
I mean, did any of these creators like ask you to use that clip in their video?
Maybe once. I think maybe a few have for some of the bigger ones, but for the most part, no. They just put them in compilations and go, and it's whatever. It's fine. Like I really don't care about it. I'm like I said, like I think any publicity is good publicity. So even if I'm not getting revenue on it, it's cool. It's definitely like you said, it's given me a lot more notoriety in places that I might not be. So.
So let's talk about your elegant community. What do you love and hate about your community?
Elegant community. My community has never been called elegant before, but I'm here for it. Elegant. What do I love about my community? I mean, I love how funny they are. They are extremely funny. I mean, I agree with what you were saying. I was kind of talking smack saying that they're funny 60% of the time. They're funny most of the time. There's a lot of just straight up solid memers in the chat, and I think one of the things I love the most is watching somebody who is maybe new to the stream or didn't talk for a long time slowly stepping into the ring, typing more, and then deciding to make memes and kind of rising to the top of every year I try to give out an award for up and coming memer of the year, and there's some new people in contention this year who have come out of the woodwork, and so that's always a joy to see. And they're so supportive. Like, they give me a hard time, but they're very supportive. Monetarily and emotionally sometimes. But so that's the thing I love. What do I dislike about my community? I mean, I don't know how long is this show? I'm just kidding. I don't really have a lot of stuff that I dislike. I mean, they can sometimes take it a little too far, and then you have to, you just got to bop them. But other than that, man, I don't really have a lot of negatives. I'm not trying to blow smoke up their ass, but they're pretty great. I wish I had something concrete to point to. I mean, there's some people in the community that are a little bit much
extra,
but a little bit extra, but that's fine. We keep an eye on that, and they, we make sure we give them their spankings and keep them in line. So, but no, I mean, I don't have any major complaints, man. I'm grateful for the community I have.
We love you all. We really do.
Yep.
Round of applause for you guys, the memers, hands down. So let's talk about your Twitch streams. What would you say is the one game you enjoyed the most streaming so far? The one game that gave you the you enjoy playing, your streamers enjoy you watching playing. It was just an overall good experience. The one game you enjoyed the most.
One
so
game
far.
I enjoy the most, man. One game I enjoy the most. So I mean, this definitely has changed over the years. So I played, I would say back in the while ago, and my answer for most of the years would be to say that I enjoy Counter-Strike the most, and playing it just because, you know, you get a party together, whether you're winning or losing, it can be a fun time. So I would say Counter-Strike is probably the game that I used to enjoy the most. And lately, though, that has switched and changed, and I will always play Counter-Strike, and there's actually been a recent update, which I'll have to play at some point. But that would definitely have shifted to Hunt Showdown, which I don't know if you've heard about this game. But Hunt Showdown is another first-person shooter, and I'm just, man, I haven't had, like, you know that, like, kid-like love for a game where you just want to play it and you want to get better at it, and you don't really care about, and you're just thinking about it when you're doing real-life responsibilities, and you're like, man, I wish I was doing this. That's how I feel about Hunt Showdown, which is a game that I've been playing for a long time, but recently has kind of had a bunch of updates and gotten really good, and a lot of people are starting to play it, and it's starting to get notoriety. So I think I would say that game. And then as far as it's hard to give you one answer. I also really enjoy playing really shitty FMV games, full motion video games, where it's just, you know, you're like, it's an interactive movie, and you're doing the choices. That's one of I enjoy doing that the most, just because of the memes that come out of those. And honestly, the worse they are, the more enjoyable it is. Like, I really like the campy FMV game. So I couldn't name you one. I would just say that genre is one that I really enjoy doing and playing with chat.
Okay.
So.
Well, how are you enjoying Life is Strange True Colors so far?
That's great.
Because you brought it up.
I finished it yesterday. Okay. So that's another series that we love to play, and probably not for the reason that we really enjoy the game. So this was my take. I thought the first half was a little slow. I thought the second half of the game was very strong. I won't give it any spoilers because I know you're going to play it.
Yep.
And the third half, I felt like, for me, it kind of fell off the rails narrative-wise for a couple of reasons. But in the same way where it's like, even if I'm not necessarily enjoying the story or the characters, Life is Strange is just great fodder for memes or reactions and stuff like that. So overall, I really enjoyed the experience. As far as the game for me personally, excuse me, I'm having indigestion talking about it. I would probably go like 5 out of 10. Maybe highest would be 6 out of 10.
So compared to the previous Life is Strange, is this like your least favorite? Or did you enjoy one or two more?
Yeah, I was ranking them. So I think for me, it's still the first Life is Strange is my favorite.
Okay.
I like how dark that story gets. I like the twist in that game. I think there's some pretty good writing. The second game, which is the one with the Wolfpack and the brothers, I really didn't like that much. I would say that's probably my least favorite. So I would go first game, then Beyond the Storm, which came out after Life is Strange 1, which is just so many great memes. And then I would slot this one in third. I would say it's my third favorite.
Okay.
Though there are legitimately good moments. Visually, it's the best of the series. Like, facial animations, like, they really up their game on that end. And it has a lot of fun moments. And again, those games are fun to just read everything and explore and try to get all the dialogue. So definitely worth playing. I would say definitely worth playing.
Are you familiar with the Twitch safety mode of that game?
I'm not. Is that the oh, you're saying the DMCA free with music?
Yeah, you can play the game with no music at all. And there's that one scene where they're playing the air guitar.
I did. Yes, so that was one of the great.
That was so funny.
One of the great moments. Yeah, so that was great because I put that on, and then you just insert your own music, and dude, anything you insert is going to be funny there.
Very much sure, yeah.
So yeah, so that's one of that is one of the advantages of playing on that with that DMCA streamer mode on. It makes it really awkward, but it makes it funny because the sound effects are still happening, so you're just hearing just them stomping their feet
it's
or
so
like
funny.
breathing. Yeah, it's great. So yeah, I mean, again, ideally, if you're trying to keep into the narrative experience more, you just maybe risk copyright. But if you're just leaning into the humor of it, definitely turn that mode on and then just have music cued.
For sure,
makes it that much better.
Now,
yeah, sure.
Now the opposite. What is the one game you enjoyed the least amount streaming on Twitch?
Man, I got a couple. So people in my chat are going to name a bunch of different games that I haven't completed that I absolutely despise. So Jump King would definitely be one that I hated the most. Jump King, absolute trash game. So rage-inducing.
What's it
so
about?
rage-inducing. So Jump King is one of those games where you start at the bottom of the screen and basically you're just jumping from platform to platform, and it gets increasingly difficult. And the only way that you beat it is, and it's like a session game, so there's no saving. So if you leave, you start from the bottom. And
wow,
it's basically it's just set up with thousands of pitfalls to make you fall all the way back to the bottom. So you could play for a solid 30 minutes, Mo, and get 3/4 of the way done, and you could do one wrong move and lose all 30 minutes of progress and fall all the way back to the beginning. You should fucking play Jump King, Mo. Oh my god.
Yeah, perhaps.
Yeah, you should play it. You should experience the suffering. Another game similar to that I played recently, I literally had somebody do a PowerPoint on why I should play it to get me to play it, was called Spelunky 2, which is kind of it's a side-scrolling 3D kind of action game, similar kind of like permadeath vibes. Spelunky 2, if anybody ever tells you to play that, total trash. Don't ever play it. Don't ever play it. Yeah. And I don't mean the games are trash, I just more mean that they make you very upset. Very upset. Do not enjoy being that upset on stream.
What do we say was the angriest, the most rage-inducing game? Like the one game that made you rage the most, you say? Like, or actually on camera. Have you ever like thrown your controller or like walked off screen or something because you got so ragey?
Yes, walking off screen definitely has happened quite a few times. I've never broken anything yet or thrown a controller, but I have ended stream multiple times out of rage. I'm trying to think. Definitely ended stream playing Spelunky 2. I've definitely ended stream playing pretty much. Mo, I tend to, if I get too upset, I'll just end the stream. I don't do it that often, but I've definitely done it playing Counter-Strike. Just out of I can't do this. I would say Grid 2 is a racing game where people can be very BM and run into you. Chat's done that. Chat's gotten me rage quit that. So it just depends on the day. If you catch me, if depends on, it's a couple factors. It's how annoying is chat being in the game if I'm playing with them. It's what is the comments happening that are tilting me, and then it's also my frame of mind. So if all those factors, crystallize and align, there's a chance I'll rage quit. But I would definitely say probably Spelunky 2 and Jump King are some of the maddest I've ever been on stream.
Have you ever played Getting Over It? Has that also?
I haven't, but I'm sure I would do the same way. Yeah, much like Jump King.
Keep telling him to play, guys. Keep telling me to play. I will be there. So moving on from rage-inducing, let's talk about The Tester. The Tester Season 2. Yes.
Let's talk about it.
Because that, ladies and gentlemen, is how this friendship was born. That's how it happened. So how did you come across the Tester, and what made you decide to stream watching it with your crowd?
So we were looking for a new series to watch together. We stuff that was video game related. So I think what we first found was there was a dating show on YouTube. Maybe it was on a network at one point, and it was it Nerd Love or something like that? I forget what it was called. Maybe Chad can help me out. But we were watching episodes of that, and it was basically a dating show at a convention, and it was people going in, and it was kind of following their stories, and we were like, wow, this is great. We loved it. And so we were trying to find more gaming-related reality show content, basically. And I think somebody in chat had suggested, there was this show called The Tester that could be good that we could watch together. And and I think I ended up looking it up, and we started watching. It was because you were season 2.
Yep.
What season were you?
Season 2.
You were season 2. So we ended up finding. I think your season was the most widely available on YouTube, perhaps at the time, because I think the first season we weren't able to find it, or anyway, it was fate. But we started watching it, and dude, you just became. Once we started watching it, we instantly fell in love with it. You were a fan favorite just right off the bat, man.
I believe they're all available on Crackle, I think, the website.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that was going to when you guys first. If you guys don't know, back in 2010, I did a reality show called The Tester on the PlayStation Network, which you can download right now for free on PS3, PS4, and you guys watched it, and that's how we met. So
that's right.
So yeah, your first impressions of me, go.
My first impressions of you, Mo, on that show were I want to be friends with that guy. That's the kind of, and now we are. Look at that. But that's kind of what you put off. You were just so fun and obviously in it to win it, but in it to have a good time. And I could tell that right away. So we love that. Yeah, so you became a fan favorite pretty early, and then I do you remember. So we finished that whole series, and then somebody had came in my chat and was like, "Hey, I was looking at the different people that were in the show, and Mo Chocolate, he streams on Twitch," and I was like, "No fucking way, we got to hook this up. We got to interview. We got to talk to him. I got to talk to somebody from the show." And it just happens that night. I think you were live
the day before my birthday.
The day before your birthday.
Yeah.
That's right. And I was like, "Oh my god, I think we had just finished." And I was like, "Oh, we should rate him. We should rate him. This is like perfect, and we can like introduce and start." And I'll never forget. I think I rated you or hosted you. I'm not sure which it was. And you were kind of like in the middle of doing something, and then you started seeing the chat like blow up, and you were like, "Oh god, am I getting?" You know, because people were botting at the time, which they still do.
Yeah.
And you were like, "Oh god, am I getting bot?" Like you were just didn't know what was happening initially, and it was so great to see you realize that like, "Oh no, this is legit." And then you had the best. You're still your reaction to getting rated or hosted from me is still like we have the videos of it. It's the best ever.
I like going back and watching it. Yeah, it's like
Nobody
because I've never had more than 7 people watch me. So to go from 7 to like 50 or 60, I was like, what? I wasn't. It's crazy because I wasn't even planning on streaming that day, but I did. So that
nice.
through some. I mean, do you know who told you I was streaming that day?
Man, I don't know. I wish I had the name off the top.
Are you in the chat? Say show yourself, so I can thank you.
Everyone in chat's gonna say it's me now, but yeah. I don't remember who it was. There might be. Maybe at some point we could go back and see if we could look at the chat replay of that because I think that's highlighted. But yeah, that would be cool to know.
So what about the other moments from the show did you like? Other cast members that you enjoyed?
From season 2 of The Tester, I'm trying to think. I mean, I think you were definitely my favorite contestant. As far as like, that season was. How many seasons did they end up doing? By the way,
3.
Did they do 3?
Yes.
Your season, I think it was more that now when we ended up watching the first season and the third season. I think what I took away more so than just even the cast was like, I don't know. I felt like your season was just the best season by far, and I don't know what to attribute that to. I think part of it was the cast. I think part of it was the way that it was set up, but just like the draw. I think who was the guy that calls it
Big Physique?
Yeah, Zeke. The drama was Zeke.
Yep.
I think was one of my favorite things, and everybody trying to navigate that.
Deuces to Big Physique.
Big Physique.
That's for you.
Deuces. Yeah. So I enjoyed him, but I mean, everybody had their moments on the show, and I just thought it was so cool. It's such a cool slice of like the era, because that aired exclusively on the PlayStation Network, right?
Yep.
So it was so they put a lot of resources into that, and I remember you, and then it was cool like interviewing you and having you like talk about like the whole interviewing for the show, like testing for the show and all that stuff. That was fascinating, and yeah, man. And I just wait anyway. Maybe someday, but you're like. Again, because of your personality, I just think you're so good for a reality show kind of format like that. I think you instantly become. And then you also told me the story about how you had tested for another show and kind of went through a whole bunch of stuff, and then they ended up canceling it, right?
It was
the finance thing.
I love money. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, I was also very close to King of the Nerds season 3, but that was fine. But what was? Yeah, because you guys were talking about how on season 2 it looks like a porn studio, and sure enough, that's exactly what it was. Yes,
that's right. You guys are in a porn studio, which makes it even more epic. Yeah, we were like trying to look around, and we're like, yeah, people we're like, man, where are they? Where are they filming this? That was great. Yeah, it was great to get all your insight on like, on just the behind the scenes stuff and like how was the crew? Was the crew cool? How many? Like, did they tell you what to say, or did they let you? You know what I mean? Did they let you kind of riff, or would they be like, "Hey, this is the topic, go," or whatever? So that was all really fascinating.
So relating to that, if you, Aplfisher, were on the Tester, what would your nickname be, and how long do you think you would last?
How long would I last? That's a great question. Well, I'm really good. I mean, I was the guy in high school I was in the middle. I was friends with. I had a friend in every group, so I think I'm very good at. Now I don't know if I would be good at the games itself. Definitely not, because I'm not like a PlayStation super fan. So I probably gameplay wise I would be the weakest. But friendship wise, I feel like I would make alliances and genuine friendships with everybody pretty quick. So I think once it came down to the gameplay at the end, I probably would be eliminated somewhere in the middle of the show because I wouldn't have the knowledge. But Friendship, I think I would probably go out around where you went out, or maybe a little bit more, but probably similar. I think the gameplay would be my downfall if I had to guess. But if it was, hey, do people like me? I think I could also, I don't want to, I don't want to be too cocky, but I think I could be a fan favorite like you were. I think we're similar personalities.
Yes.
I think we could do that.
And you said you would go with Aplfisher?
I think I would go with APL. I think I would take my last name off and just go APL on the show. Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
Now, have you ever been recognized in public? Like going to shopping or getting gas?
Yes.
And we go, hey, you're APL,
Absolutely.
you're the bike guy. Has that ever happened?
So I've never been recognized for the bike story. Most of the time I'm recognized it's for Machinima stuff. So it's being in Respawn and Respawn Inbox. I've also been at cons for like the YouTube game. People have come up to me. The most recent one was I was at a pizza place with my family, and the guy busting the tables came over to me and was like, "Hey, are you Aplfisher? Were you on Inbox with you were with Sark, right, in Inbox?" And anyway, he's somebody that's in the chat now, which is super cool. But it doesn't happen that often. I would say maybe a few times a year. But obviously, going to cons is kind of cheating because then there's a lot more gamers and they know. But in public, I mean, the weirdest thing that ever happened to me is I had moved to Pittsburgh quite a few years ago, back from California, and I was in a Target, and I was just walking with my girlfriend at the time, my wife now, Tab, and I just feel somebody walking up super like fast behind me, and I just hear over my shoulder, I hear, "I love to Respawn Inbox," and they just keep walking. They didn't turn around, and I was like, "Oh, okay." Like, okay, he did like a drive-by on me and just kept moving.
That's funny.
So that was funny, but yeah, it doesn't happen that often. But I would say maybe a few times a year. But it's always fun with us.
Okay.
I won't lie. I won't act like it's not cool to get people like, it's no big. I like it. It's the coolest thing for the last time that they were talking about when I was at the pizza place. I was with my family and my mom. So my mom had never seen me get recognized in public, and you would have thought she was like the proudest mom. She's like, "Oh my god!" She was like telling all her friends. She's like, "My son got recognized when we were at the pizza place." Anyway, I was like, "What is your son known for?" And then my mom's like, "I can't show you anything that he's in, but it's okay."
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever asked you to like sign their arm or sign their cast or sign their cleavage or anything like that?
Lots of cleavage signing. Let me tell you, man, my hand's tired from. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, definitely same thing. Signings at like cons and stuff like that. I've signed at everything. Not everything, but like arms. I've signed lanyards the most. I don't know if I've ever signed. I don't think I've ever signed cleavage, but yeah, but not necessarily like out in public. More so because I'm at an event or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let me ask you this. So I give you a fuck ton of money, right? Mm-hmm. So if you had all this money, if you were in charge of Twitch, what would you change and why?
What would I change and why? So I have the reins to kind of put money into any kind of content?
Yes.
Or do whatever?
Yeah.
Okay. What would I do, man? What would I do? That's a great question. I think, there's a couple different things I would do. I think one thing I would do is be scouting talent, lesser viewed talent, or people that I think can end up making it, becoming really big on the platform if they had the right boost or whatever like that. And I know Church is trying to do that and stuff with different things kind of organically. But I don't know if there's a department for that, but literally like trying to find the next 10 or 20 people that are going to really represent the platform well or doing really good content. I think that would be really cool. I know that they have a partnership, but like meaningfully and meaningfully get behind them, if that makes sense. So not just be like, hey, here's a partnership offer. Be like, hey, here, we want you get whatever. You get 50 viewers. You get 100 viewers. We love your stuff, though. We want to do a show with you. You know what I mean? And offer stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think that is kind of lacking. And it's the problem with any platform. It's like the people that are already very successful are going to continue to get the offers and do the stuff because they get the eyes on it. I understand that. But I do think there's an opportunity to kind of more organically pick people out of smaller categories and use them more. And I'm not saying Twitch isn't doing that at all, but that would be one focus that I would really push on, whether that would be a department whose like literal job. It's like, I want you to go and I want you to browse. Like your entire job is to look at lower viewed channels and pick out people you think are really talented.
Okay.
So that's one thing I would do. I would also probably keep a portion of the money. No, I'm just kidding. That was just Twitch money. What else I would do? What else would I do? I don't know, man.
Would you change the make it so where how can I ask this without sounding mean? But like the whole the whole bathtub hot tub stream. Would you like do anything to change that so it's not overly sexual?
I don't know if I would really mess with that. I mean, I know people have different feelings about that. My whole take on the whole bathtub meta thing was like people are like, oh, they're taking my viewers away. It's like, if first of all, like you don't want the viewers that are only going to be in there because they're jerking their little gherkins to somebody in a hot tub. So first of all, like that's not your viewership anyway. Secondly, if you're worried about losing viewership to something like that, then you're just very insecure and you should be making better content if that's the case. Now, I do think it's a dicey thing that Twitch is trying to figure out, and they've been very kind of back and forth about doing it to where now I guess they're just kind of like whatever goes. I think I am more in favor of it being less policed and more on the parents or people or kids that are watching Twitch to be like, be aware of what your kid is getting into. I mean, I understand both sides of it, but I think the less restrictive Twitch is overall is better for everybody, if that makes sense. So I think for the greater good, people can have their opinions on it. I think for the greater good, Twitch being kind of more hands-off allows for more creativity overall. Obviously, if it's like harmful content and all that stuff, they need to be aware. But no, I'm kind of all in favor of just kind of like let it ride. And if people want to support themselves doing it that way and people are going to pay money, that's fine with me. Now, obviously, I'm not advocating for. I mean, should Twitch? Maybe I make a Twitch adult section, which they'll never do.
Probably.
But that has been a thought process. It's like, okay, age verification thing, 18 plus. Maybe you're going to require people to do maybe another step to be able to watch a stream. I think that could be something that could be talked about.
Now, what about the music? Now, what I would do is give everyone a streamer protection certificate, where you pay like I don't know, like $100 a year, and with this certificate, no companies can come after you because you're using it for your right to stream the game. You're not trying to make money off the game. You're simply streaming the game. And if the music is in the game, like let's say Just Dance or like Life is Strange, like you're not trying to like steal their work. You're just playing the game that their work is in. You know what I'm saying? That's what I would do. But what would you do for the whole music debacle?
Yeah, it's tough right now. So Twitch, I don't know if you saw the news recently. They just ended up signing a deal, which doesn't really change any of the DMCA stuff, but they've done a deal with one of the music publishing, one of the big ones, to basically make it so that Twitch is trying to police their own content more and less of them just DMCA striking, which I think is a good step in the right direction. So if there is something infringing or there where a DMCA would initially be met, instead Twitch sends a warning to the channel saying, hey, this is the content that they were going to strike you for. We're not going to strike you. We just want you to remove it. So we are starting to move. I mean, people are like, oh, this is a nothing burger. And I'm like, it's not nothing. That's better than getting DMCA strike, which is not going to come off on your channel. You know what I mean? And you get 3, you're done. So I do think it's moving towards that direction. But yeah, I mean, there's no question. Twitch really, they should have been moving on this and working with this, having at least technology in place way, way longer. But really, at the end of the day, I just don't think Amazon is a company that is going to like, and I agree, like having some kind of like, even if Twitch paid a portion and they were like, hey, if you want to stream a bunch of this copyrighted music, even if it's in a game, you can pay this much a year and we cover whatever. Maybe they cover some of it, or maybe they have a reduced rate because, like you said, they have leverage because they have the platform to go to the publishers and be like, hey, listen, we'll get you some money. It's better than zero, right? And just DMCA and everybody. So I see what you're saying with your thing. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I know they're trying to work something out, but sure, I would be willing to pay a certain amount a year to say like, hey, like this is basically like a streamer license. And especially because, like you said, when it comes to the music and games, like it's such a bummer to have to, it's like I already paid for the game, and I know the music publishing is separate, but I mean, it's such a pain, like to not be able to listen to the music as it's meant to be played in the moment. So.
Yes.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
Well, a lot of people have been transferring over to YouTube. So my question for you is, do you see yourself ever also going to YouTube or staying only on Twitch? And why do you think a lot of people go to YouTube in the first place? Do you think it's better than Twitch or about the same? What?
So with YouTube, a lot of the top streamers going is just because they're, YouTube's throwing them insane amounts of money to switch, which makes sense. YouTube has some advantages over Twitch. Their video player is better, especially with the live DVR, being able to drag and drop.
Yes.
Or not drag and drop, but drag at any point and catch back up. Obviously, their chat lags behind. A lot of the community aspect YouTube doesn't have. Their also directory is a nightmare. It's hard to find. There's no real directory. You have to go to somebody's direct channel to find live streams. But it definitely is the number 2. I mean, there's really nothing on par with YouTube or Twitch right now. I think, would I ever go? The only way that I would go is if they paid me to go there. There's just not enough revenue streams to me or interest on YouTube. And even people like Dr. Disrespect, who was banned from the platform, ended up going. He went on a rant recently where he basically his revenue was cut in half switching over to YouTube for a number of reasons. Some of it is just because the support is a little bit different over there. And also, I still think Twitch is the preeminent platform to be able to make the money, unless you are, of course, like a pretty big streamer who got a contract. So I think for myself, the only way that I would switch is if Twitch just became untenable anymore and there was a reason, like who knows, like maybe there became a music thing and all the revenue streams dried up. But for me, Twitch is just, with the sub gifting and with all the different options to be able to make a living doing it, I don't think there's a better platform to be able to survive and do it full time. So I don't think I would switch anytime soon. But I do see, I mean, there are some good things. Like Twitch has no VOD content. Like YouTube has the built-in, they're the original VOD platform. So, you have a stream and then it goes to VOD, all the views from the stream count. It's different, but I still think I'd prefer Twitch, yeah, for sure. And I don't see myself switching, no.
Some people in the chat are mentioning Facebook Gaming. Would you if they paid you a lot of money, would you go there also?
I've been offered to trial on Facebook Gaming, and they offered me a good amount of money, and I'll tell you, the only way that I would do Facebook Gaming, and so my contract that I have with Twitch is, which a lot of people have, is I am only allowed to stream on Twitch. I'm not allowed to stream on other platforms, like even dual stream, or I break my contract. So I don't want to do that. So Facebook had offered me an opportunity they were like, you can stream on Twitch, but just send it to Facebook as well, and we'll pay you a good amount of money. And so I would have done that, but again, it would have broken my contract. So I didn't want to do that because I didn't want to lose my partnership with Twitch.
Gotcha.
So I would have done that. I would never switch to, Facebook Gaming, respectfully is a fucking nightmare. But the reason that they have anybody switching or people over there at all is because they have Facebook money. So they're throwing huge. The nice thing is, if you can make your if you can get offered basically a salary, which is what Facebook is doing for people, saying, hey, we'll pay you whatever, we'll pay you $80,000 a year, we'll pay you $50,000 a year, or over the course of a few months to stream on our platform. I understand why people do it. I think you make your money and do it, but I think, as far as I think a lot of people have done, I've seen the Facebook thing where they take the money, they stream for a year, and then they come back after their term is over, which I think is really smart too. But for me, it didn't. For me, it wasn't enough to be like, I would have to make as much money as I would make in a year on Facebook to go and switch exclusively and be like, hey, here's the money up front. And they didn't offer me that. So
okay. Now, what are some of your upcoming plans for Twitch, like for next year and stuff, in terms of content creation and Twitch streaming? What are your upcoming plans for the future of Aplfisher?
The future of Aplfisher? Well, right now I'm just trying to keep my head above water because we've got, I recently had a son,
yes.
So I'm just like trying to get back to some set of normalcy. So that'll be the first thing. Trying to do more cooking streams. We've started that over the last like two years or so. Love doing the cooking streams. I recently had a really good one with my good friend Stuart. Came over, and he's from Massachusetts. He came over, stayed a few days. We did a pizza cooking stream, kind of up the production value. Want to do more of that. Want to continue to do some YouTube games throughout the year because that's always a good time. But I think for me, the biggest thing when it comes to Twitch is just not getting burnt out. And I definitely experienced that, I would say, maybe a few years ago, but I would say the last 2 years have just been fantastic. So I'm just looking forward to having it still be fun, and it has been. So that's my main goal with anything. Yeah.
Do you see being a VTuber in the horizon, by any chance?
Dude, I can't tell you. So I initially did as a joke because I think it would be fun to have, like, I wanted to be. I told somebody if they made me a VTuber where I was like kind of looked like myself but had big, large anime breasts, I would love to do it just for fun once in a while. But no, do I see myself seriously doing it? No, but definitely as like a fun one-off stream, I could definitely do it. but no, never switching to it. I also have noticed like VTuber has kind of become like the flavor of the month. Like I'll go to different categories and it'll just be like a ton of different, usually poor. Like I think VTubing is cool. I think it's cool when it's done to a certain level. I think when it's like the mouth is animated and it's just like and that's about it. I'm not as big of a fan of it. So I enjoy VTuber content done at a certain level. So I don't think I would be able to do it at that level. So I'd probably only do it as a joke, maybe.
Okay.
But yeah, but I respect people that want to go that route. I don't think I could do it well enough to have fun with it myself.
Now, as far as content creation and streaming goes, how much longer do you see yourself doing this? Like, do you have in the back of your head a plan to retire when you hit a certain age or a certain amount of years? Like, do you see this for the long haul or soon retiring?
I don't know, man. I just see myself doing it indefinitely. I mean, I wouldn't have thought I would be going, pursuing my 8th year coming up soon.
Wow.
Like, and still doing it. But it, over the years, the support has continued to grow and been there and continues to be there. And yeah, I mean, like as a kid, my only goal was to have my own like show. I was always using VHS cameras to shoot stuff. I was just always creating content for myself that nobody else would see. I was always, my dad called me a shameless entertainer growing up. Like that's, and now I consider myself, I have the best job in the world. I literally get to go live and show with like-minded people who are in for whatever we're doing that day. So yeah, man, I'm going to do this until the wheels fall off. You know what I mean? I don't know about retirement. It's for my generation, that word's kind of, I'm like, it's hard to imagine me like just not doing something anymore or reaching a certain amount of monetary, like, sure, I guess if I like become like a millionaire, maybe I would consider it, but no, for the inevitable, as long as they're going to keep showing up, I'm going to keep doing it. So yeah,
now we're
for the inevitable future.
Now, for any up and coming streamers out there, what advice would you give them? Like, for equipment, what game to stream? Just anyone that wants to be like, I want to stream on Twitch, but I don't know where to start. What advice would you give that person?
Yeah, so a couple things. One, good luck if you're getting into Twitch to try to make money right away. I think obviously with the affiliate program, there are avenues to be able to do that, and people can get that pretty quick and then just worry about it. But I would say if you're going into it, just go into it with the idea of wanting to initially kind of have fun and like test the waters and stuff like that. There's no problem with having ambition, but I see a lot of like threads, especially on r/Twitch, which is that subreddit. Oof, sometimes I just want to rip the little hair I have in my head out reading because it's all people just being like, man, I'm grinding. I just want to make it. I'm not getting any viewers. And it's like, if you're going to try to get into an industry that is so saturated, like back in the day, if you had the equipment and you were decently entertaining, you could probably have a stream that was going to get some viewers. But nowadays it's so hard. And I don't envy anybody trying to get into it. I think a few quick tips I could give off the top that I always tell the people that ask. Obviously, number one is networking, and people hear networking, they're like, "Oh, it's sleazy." No, like, dude, even myself, like, I have a very, I'm very happy with where my channel's at and the viewership and what I'm able to support myself throughout the year on. But even if you're gonna grow that, you have to play with other people that are either bigger than you or like-minded, and you can mix it up, but you have to network to be able to get your name out there, because Twitch really has no organic way to get noticed unless they're like, hey, do you want to be on the front page? But like you gotta like, I think what you're doing with your show here is a perfect example of how to do it properly. Just to give you some props, is you put together a well-produced show and you bring people in, like you're interviewing, like, I won't give anything away because you told me some nice details earlier about other people you're going to be having on the show, which you guys should be excited about. I won't say anything. But that's a great way to do it, is to bring in people and interview them, talk to them. So I think the way that you're doing this is a great way to help grow yourself. Also follow and subscribe to this guy. Shameless plug, but you should. I also think finding a game, as far as gameplay goes, don't just, like, if you're going to go and like, hey man, I'm going to stream Call of Duty or any other game that is a super saturated category and just expect to turn on the stream and go, you're not going to get any traction. It's impossible. It doesn't matter how talented you are. Like I said, without some starting base, it's going to be tough. So one of my tips for that is, if you can find a game that has a dedicated fan base, but a pretty small streaming community. And, there's so many different games in different categories. find a category that isn't super saturated, learn the game. If it's a game that you already play, that's great. If not, learn the game and start streaming that. And that's a great way to kind of help grow your audience, is to be in a category that isn't as saturated. I think a good example of a game like that is a game. So I like a game, Hunt Showdown was a game I was talking about. It's kind of blown up recently, but that was a game that, you know, it had people playing it, but it didn't have that many people playing it. So that's a game that I think I see a lot of kind of streamers your size, smaller than you, my size, slightly bigger than me, and good opportunity for viewership. So look at the category and kind of look at it that way. Look at it as like, hey, it's not super saturated. I could make a move here. I think that's
now. What about the equipment? Like, would you recommend starting off with like crappy ones or the high tech ones, or just whatever's in your budget?
I would say whatever's in your budget. You want to make sure things that are the most important. You don't want the stream stuttering or lagging or having technical difficulties all the time if you can avoid that. So kind of dialing in your settings. Like, a lot of people aren't going to be able to stream at 60 FPS right away, which is kind of standard on Twitch for a lot of different things. You don't need to worry about that initially. Just make sure that your stream quality is adequate and that your stream is consistent and people aren't constantly buffering or you're not lagging. And I think as long as you have those factors set up, you can slowly build your setup. One thing I see a lot of people getting bitter about is people will like spend $1,000 on a Twitch setup, and then I'll see these tweets where people are like, man, I spent so much money, but nobody's watching. It's like, dude, your equipment has no relation to who's going to watch you. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to do that for yourself and you're a hobbyist, that's cool. But no, initially just start off and just make sure the stream is watchable and consistent. And if you have that dialed in, you know, people are not going to be upset if it's not the latest and greatest. And as you grow, sure, upgrade your setup.
Gotcha. Absolutely. And one shout out to Fictitious Adam for the 5 gifts a sub. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. And also to Gully for the 2-month sub. Thank you very much. Last question is, you recently gave birth to a handsome baby boy, right?
Yes, sir.
Recently.
Yes, sir,
so what is it like being a father and a full-time Twitch streamer at the same time? The pros and cons of that.
The pros and cons. Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, the great thing is that my schedule is very flexible and my community is very understanding. So I would say that the biggest thing about being a Twitch streamer is that you set your own schedule to an extent. Like, you want to try to have a general idea of when you'll be on. But since he's been born, it's been a whole adjustment with, my wife is recovering from that. And then we're also, I've got almost a 4-year-old who's here. She's only in school 2 days a week. So it's just been a challenge to kind of balance that and also be able to stream at the same time. But I mean, like I said, with this community, they're great. They get it. They know that, when I can be back to more normal, consistent streaming, I will be. But yeah, I think the challenge is also finding the energy after a day of being a dad from, she gets up at like 6:30 till whatever, she goes to bed at 8:30 or 7:30 or 8:30, and then being like, okay, I'm gonna have the energy to stream or whatever. But I've been trying to stream in the afternoon here and there where I can, and my wife, again, she's still recovering, but she tries to take the kids where she can. So I think the biggest thing is just trying to figure out what the new normal is going to look like with that. But I would say for sure the advantages far outweigh the disadvantages, just because, again, I'm not beholden to a 9-to-5 schedule. You know what I mean? Where I have to be like, all right, after my 6 weeks of leave are up, I have to go back to just being at work all the time. So I think just kind of adjusting to the tiredness and then figuring out what the new schedule will be is the biggest thing right now. But overall, pros outweigh the cons. Like, having a new kid and being a Twitch streamer with 2 kids, definitely doable. And I would definitely prefer that over kind of a traditional job.
Gotcha. Well, I am jealous of your son because he has the best father in the world right now. Round of applause for that. You do. Alrighty, boys and girls, it is time for the fan favorite segment of the show called Top 10 Questions on Motown Downtown. Are you ready, Aplfisher?
Oh God, I'm nervous, but I'm ready. Okay, and are these do I have to answer these the first thing that comes to my head, or can I think about it?
Are you familiar with Inside the Actors Studio?
I've watched a few, but I don't know if that's kind of the vibe that
yeah,
you're going with.
I'm going to ask you 10 questions that they ask the guests at the very end of the show. So, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right,
I'm ready.
The first question is, what is your favorite word?
What is my favorite word? My favorite word is circuitous, and chat will know why. Circuitous. Favorite word.
Gotcha. What is your least favorite word?
My least favorite word. Oh boy, that's a tough one. My least favorite word. Can it be a name or can it be
anything?
Anything. It could be anything.
Yeah.
It could be anything. Oh man. Yeah, I think my least favorite word would be butter.
Okay.
And I only say that. I only say that because I had a horrible. Listen, Listen, I'm a big guy. I know butter. I use butter a lot, but I had an experience with butter where somebody in my chat many years ago, basically, my wife signed me up. She said, if Scott will eat this entire stick of butter, if somebody in chat donates $500 right now, and let's just say somebody donated $500, Mo. Somebody donated $500. I ate the stick of butter. Fast forward to 12 hours later, I got food poisoning, Mo. This was right after my daughter was born. I vomited for 24 hours, thought I was going to die, have to go to the hospital. I had, years ago, I had chipped my tooth, and all the stomach acid, Mo, from the butter that I ate away at my filling, and my front tooth chipped. And so I looked like Cletus, like I was I looked like Cletus. Mo, guess how much the bill was for the dentist office after everything was said and done? Guess how much?
$600?
$500 exactly. So Mo, I literally zeroed out. I got food poisoning, had to get dental surgery, and all in all, it was for nothing. I basically zeroed out. I guess it would have been worse if I had to pay money, but that's why butter is a word that always makes me sweat.
Well, that is the best answer I've had on the show so far. So thank you very much, APL.
No problem.
So then the next question is, what makes you happy?
Oh, what makes me happy, man? This is going to be a cheesy answer, but my family, man. My family makes me the most happy. I've truly transitioned to boomer dad, but my daughter, my son, my wife, but and also just seeing my daughter as she continues to go through the different stages of development. My family's what makes me the most happy.
Oh, okay. Sure. Now, what makes you upset?
What makes me upset? You know what really pisses me off is, on Steam, how there's this feature called Steam Call, where people can call you. To my knowledge, there is no fucking way to turn Steam Call fully off unless you're offline. Maybe there is now, but I cannot tell you the amount of times where I am on Steam and I am online and I forget that somebody can call me and I'll be doing something and people will spam me with Steam calls, minimizing my game sometimes or just interrupting moments. So that's something I'd like to grind my gears about. Who uses the Steam Call feature, Mo? Have you ever used it? I don't know anybody that's ever used it.
Never.
Get rid of it. Awful. Don't like it. Makes me mad.
What sound or noise do you love?
Oh man, what sound or noise do I love? Man, there's so many different ones. Probably a lot of them are food related. I love when the ding in my phone pops off because the pizza delivery guy's downstairs in my apartment complex. Because you know what's funny? I always have my phone muted. The only time I turn alerts on to hear that ding is when delivery is on its way. One of my favorite moments. That makes me happy. The ding my iPhone makes when the
best noise in the world. Best noise in the world. Just
Cheers.
saying yes. And what sound or noise do you hate?
What sound or noise do I hate? There's a community member in my channel and a longtime subscriber named Augie, who has this ability to reach extremely loud, ear-piercing octaves with his voice, and a lot of times he'll do that when we were going back to the Steam calling thing, and it will just be it's very overwhelming. Probably one of my least favorite sounds is when I answer a Steam call and he's just going full bore. The sound of Augie screaming, one of my least favorite things.
Okay, Aplfisher, what is your favorite curse word?
Oh, fuck. No question. Fuck is my favorite curse word. Yeah, I definitely say it probably way too much, and especially with my daughter being, just repeating everything. But yeah, F-U-C. It's probably that's probably an obvious answer, but it's so versatile and it's so therapeutic. There's nothing better than a good fuck when something has gone wrong. It's just, and then they've proven that swearing does help lower pain thresholds and all that stuff. So
common advice with Aplfisher. Thank you very much.
Yes.
And what profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
What other profession other than my own? So other than what am I? A streamer, I guess. Content creator, streamer, influencer. What do they call us? Influencers. So I have a couple things. One, I would love to. I don't think if I wasn't doing streaming full time, I think I would actually really try to pursue a career in like DJing and music production. Two things I'm really passionate about, which I just don't have as much time for anymore. I used to make music when I lived in California, like electronic music. I don't have time for that anymore. I don't really do it, but I was always passionate about it. I would like to go like literally like study at like a music school to learn to do that. That would be something I would pursue. And then like DJ, I still DJ on Twitch, which is great, and I enjoy doing that, but I would try to pursue like actually traveling and DJing venues. And then the other, sorry, go ahead.
What's your DJ name? DJ Fisher?
My DJ name is DJ Apollo. So I actually went back to what my old name was. Kind of full circle,
it comes full circle.
Right? Good question.
Yeah.
Good interview question. Yeah. DJ Apollo. And so just shameless plug, I usually DJ on Saturday nights over on the channel. So you can feel free to check that out.
Somebody post a link in the chat. Go follow this man right now, please, and thank you.
Oh, thank you. And then the other thing I was going to say is I would be interested in going to culinary school to learn to become like a chef. I have no like romantic notions about that because I have worked in kitchens before and I know what a nightmare it is to be working in a kitchen, whether on the line or the head chef, and I respect people immensely who do it. But that's something that I've always been interested in. I do like to cook.
So
and
when
I
are
would
we
like
gonna
to hone my skills.
When are we going to see you in the next season of Hell's Kitchen? That's the real question.
Oh yeah, I don't think that'll ever be happening. That might be a little too intense for me, but I would like to. It would be cool to do get some more formal training, like get better at like knife work and whatever. Maybe get more classically trained. That would be cool.
What profession other than your own would you not like to attempt?
Would I not like to attempt? Man, I'm trying to think of jobs that I look at and I'm just like, man, I don't know how people do that. I think jobs I respect that I would never want to do. Anybody that is working, that works with sewage on a regular basis. Again, like kind of like that, like micro dirty jobs. Respect it. Think it's so necessary. Probably, I'm a little squeamish. Probably would be tough for me to be able to do. So I don't know what the official title of somebody like that is. I mean, I know that there's plumbing, that's a little bit different, but what else would I not want to be? I think someone said bus driver in chat, and I'm thinking, I know that they're memeing, but I think anything where you're driving, like where you're having to drive the same route over and over and over again, and then also deal with the public is a job where it's like, I respect the shit out of it. Gotta be tough. Because of like, you never know what humanity is going to give you. It almost has like the side of like retail where it's like, okay, they put their thing in and then they get on the bus. I get that. But then at the same time, who knows what you're going to get? That could be rough. So I don't know. I'm trying to think, but I've done a lot of different gigs. Anything with heights as well. I'm not great with heights.
Same here.
So yeah, anything with heights, I couldn't do. So, airplane or what do they call?
Stewardess.
A stewardess. I couldn't do that. Again, mostly because of the constant flying, which I'm okay flying. I can do it as a one-off or here and there. But then also dealing with the public, God bless them. Yeah, don't think I could do that.
Same here. So last question is, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Oh, wow. Okay. What would I like to hear God say at the pearly gates? You know what I'd like to hear God say?
Sure.
I'd like to hear him say, "Hey, are you the guy from the bike store?" And I think if God asked me if I was the guy from the bike story, Mo, I think that's how I know that I truly made it.
That's when you know
if God himself asked me, I don't know, the bike story is now in the pantheon of, history and whatever else forever in the universe. It's in the zeitgeist. I'd be happy with that.
That's
if God asked me about that.
That's when you know, yeah, I created bikes and now I know you from the bikes. Ladies and gentlemen, one big round of applause for the one and only Apple Senpai at Aplfisher and Alpha Daddy. Thank you so very much once again for being on the show. Thank you. Double round of applause. Thank you.
What a pleasure. It was great to be here, dude. You did a killer job. I'm looking forward to more episodes of the show, dude. And like you said, the guests that you're going to be having on. Mo's dialing it up, guys. He's dialing it up.
Oh my God! But Bunny, Shave Bunny, holy crap!
Shave Bunny.
20 gifted subs! I've been
The
the
legend.
chat. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Double round of applause for that. Thank you. The whole audience is on their feet. The entire audience I am totally looking at is on their feet for Shave Bunny. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. And now we have a hype train. Thank you all, because the show is actually over now, but thank you very much for the hype train. Thank you. But we're going to find somebody to raid. While I do that, any closing things you want to say to the audience before we go?
Sure. Just thanks for watching. Thanks for the support on Mo. He deserves it. I love this format, Mo, like I said. Not blowing smoke up your ass. I think this is a great way.
Thank you.
To help continue to grow your channel and also put out really interesting content. Great interview questions. I like the production. Just keep it up, dude. And yeah, thanks for having me on, man. It's just crazy. It's funny how I just liked also rehashing our story. And, it's cool to see us where we are now. Awesome, man. Enjoyed it.
This is the hard part, picking someone to raid. I want to raid Shots. He's a member of our community.
Yes, sure.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, let's go raid Shots here. Give him that. Give him some chocolate flavored love.
Give him some love.
It's funny because I met him through you. That's the other amazing thing is that I've met so many amazing people on Twitch thanks to you.
Awesome,
it's
man.
Spreading the chocolate flavored love everywhere. So thank you for that. I actually recently had a subathon stream, and
nice.
And basically mod, illustrious psychopath Fryman, donated. I was doing 1 sub equals 30 minutes.
Oh wow.
And I'm like, there is no way I'm gonna get more than enough subs to equal 24 hours. Of course not. And the psychopath Fryman in the chat right now donated 30 subs. So yeah, thank you again, Fryman, for that. Thank you. But I had to stay up. We're at level 5. Level 5 hype train. Holy shit! Thank you. Everyone in its audience now is getting up. Applause sign and stuff. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you again. Once again, thank you. Love you all to death. What? Okay, Scott. What should be the raid message? I'll let you guys decide what the raid message
guys
is.
cheered. X100.
What should be the raid
Motown
message?
Downtown episode Mo.
Yes. I'll let you guys decide what the raid message
I think you should do sending some chocolate flavored love, maybe?
Alright, how about the chat? I was thinking more something funny and weird.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Your tagline.
Meme-worthy, yeah.
X100. Can you ask APL if he
and
still
also
talks
everyone
to
use a
Jamie?
chocolate rain emote. Yeah, welcome to the enjoy supporting the stream. Enjoy the sub part of my Discord, which I'll post right here. Here's my socials. Here's my Discord. There you go. There's a sub section in there, only for subs, and supporting the Coco crew. Thank you all very much for that 20-something. Thank you again, APL, for coming by. Yeah, we'll just say send you chocolate flavored love, use a chocolate rain emote, and yeah, I will be back tomorrow for the Nintendo Direct. So stay tuned for that. So I'm kind of sad we have to end things now because I'm like I don't want to leave you, Apple Senpai. But hey, you're always welcome to come back here whenever you want. And thank you everyone out there for watching again. And we will see you all tomorrow for more streaming with Motown with Aplfisher. So I say bye to the audience.
Good show.
Bye bye.
Jolly good show.
And that's a wrap. Oh no, I wonder if he steps